Alabama is once again searching for a new offensive coordinator as Ryan Grubb is taking the Seahawks offensive coordinator job. Sounds like offensive line coach Scott Huff will also be joining Grubb. That one not quite as locked in as the Grubb one is, but it is the expectation here. We're going to break down some replacements for Grubb on today's show, as we promised we would do in our coverage of the still ongoing Alabama coaching search drama this offseason. We are under 500 subs away from 17,000 here at the Alabama Football Report. If you want more free videos, hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/@RollTideTV. Does sound like, if this wasn't maybe expected, but it was going to at least be planned for, potentially for Grubb and for Alabama. There was a report out of Seattle that Grubb waited for the 30-day window to close before finalizing things, which I actually don't like that much. Kind of shady a little bit. Whether or not DeBoer knew that or not, who knows. Whether or not it's even accurate or if it would have mattered or if it was spin from Seattle to explain why it took so long to pick an offensive coordinator, I don't know. Here's what Bama Athletic Director Greg Burns said on Grubb leaving. We knew when we hired Coach DeBoer there was a chance Coach Grubb may end up being either the head coach at Washington or was on the radar screen with the Seattle Seahawks. Coach DeBoer had a plan for that, and it is being worked on as we speak. Now, the other notable offensive coaches right now on this staff, Nick Sheridan is the tight ends coach, JaMarcus Shephard is the wide receivers coach, and Robert Gillespie is our backs coach. Kalen DeBoer, by the way, also a former play caller, offensive mind. So there are some OC experience with these guys on this list. So there are options for Alabama. The timing, of course, is not great. Then again, at least we're not UCLA looking for a new head coach in February. Who do you want as the next Alabama offensive coordinator? Tommy Rees? Nah, I'm kidding, by the way. It'll be the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, get your votes in, then come back and watch the top 10 candidates list. First up, as we kind of pull from some different articles, insiders, sources that are out there, is Kurtiss Riggs, who is the ultimate wild card name. Maybe could make more sense as a new assistant coach on the staff. He was DeBoer's quarterback and roommate way back in college. He also won 3 NAIA championships with Kalen DeBoer. So there is that relationship. He has been the Sioux Falls Storm head coach for a very long time, is a member of the Indoor Football Hall of Fame. It'd be a little bit weird to a certain extent, but, jump into Alabama, probably less as the OC, maybe as a different offensive assistant is an option to at least consider here. Number 9 is Alex Mortensen. Yeah, that's the last name. It's Morton. It's the Mort's kids. Go figure, right? Working for Trent Dilfer. That team averaged 450 yards and 30 points per game this past season. UAB did. You've got some connections regionally, which might go over pretty decently. I think in general, as we go more along here, 10 to 5-ish or 10 to 6 is not as dynamic or likely, but is worth considering. Plus the dark horse option of maybe they pull another sitting head coach. Maybe they get Jason Candle from Toledo or something. Number 8, Drew Hollingshead. I think I pronounced that correctly. The Western Kentucky offenses have been really good in recent memory. They averaged 41.5 points per game in 2023. Comes from the Mike Leach coaching tree as well at Washington State and Mississippi State, which this is probably going to be a more aerial attack under Kalen DeBoer. Does he want to go fully outside of his own tree? I'm not so sure, but it is worth mentioning. Number 7 is Brian Hartline, the co-offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Now, he's not really the offensive coordinator anymore. Hartline has done a great job recruiting receivers, developing them for his alma mater. He was the receivers coach for several years. Last year, got promoted to OC. Well, he's still got the co-OC title, but obviously Chip Kelly is now the Ohio State offensive coordinator under Ryan Day. The control power for Hartline is much more mitigated. If he wants out of Dodge, which I don't know if he does, would be a very intriguing option. So should DeBoer hire from outside or from within in terms of the current coaching staff, which still kind of feels like an outside hire no matter what? O for outside, W for within. Now, Alex Atkins would be maybe a borderline home run hire. He's had head coaching interviews. He is the current offensive coordinator /OC for Florida State, knowing Mike Norvell is still heavily involved, of course. You'd knock out two birds with one stone, or let's say you get two birds stoned at once. That is, you'd knock out your offensive coordinator role, which maybe has play calling, maybe not, I don't know, and to take care of your offensive line coaching hole, which is also one that this team has to figure out as well. Top 5 coming up here, but first, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. This is your last chance to do a Super Bowl Prize Picks slate. This is daily fantasy made easy. You're picking 2 to 6 player stat projections and more than or less than on those stat projections. Now, I love to do the flex play. The flex play lowers your payout, but makes it more likely to hit because you only got to get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. You got room to get one wrong, basically. I don't do that for all of my picks. For example, when Prize Picks gives me a freebie of more than a half passing yard for Patrick Mahomes, who am I to turn that down? Who am I? I'm taking that one, more than Christian McCaffrey yards on the ground, and more than Travis Kelce catches at 7 and 8.5 for Kelce and McCaffrey, respectively. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Number 5, kind of more of a dark horse option here to an extent, is A.J. Milwee, who is the quarterback's coach right now at Texas. He's got ties to the program, less Kalen DeBoer. Played at Bama in 2004 as a quarterback, was the Akron offensive coordinator for several years, 2013 to 2018, was then a Bama offensive assistant for 2 years, then joined Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Would be a promotion and maybe not one that quite aligns perfectly with DeBoer, but there are ties to the program, and having some of those guys back from both the Saban era is at least somewhat intriguing. Maybe the most appealing name on this list is Kirby Moore. Now, Moore, of course, overlapped with DeBoer at Fresno State and is the current Missouri offensive coordinator. This is intriguing. It's a sitting Power 5 offensive coordinator. It is a tied to Kalen DeBoer guy. And both of those things are important. Look at his coaching history. It was the Washington GA for a couple seasons. Fresno State receiver, Fresno State passing game coordinator and offensive coordinator. Did a good job with Missouri this past season. They were 25th in points per game on offense, 26th in yards per game, great on fourth downs, and elite in red zone scoring. All things you could certainly use. So if you're going to go outside the program to get a new offensive coordinator, I think Kirby Moore is the best potentially viable and feasible option outside of doing something stunning again and landing a sitting college head coach as your OC. So should Bama hire Kirby Moore as the offensive coordinator? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section right now. Number 3 and number 2, to a certain extent, align with number 1. We'll explain what I mean here in a little bit. Nick Sheridan is the tight ends coach here at Alabama. He also was the Indiana offensive coordinator from 2001 to 2021. So there is something resembling some Kalen DeBoer overlap from that perspective. You could at least promote him to OC. Or maybe you could even do co-offensive coordinators with the new wide receivers coach. That is JaMarcus Shephard. Maybe you promote both of those guys. One of them gets play calling. One of them, they work together and do play calling. There is some coordinator experience here with Shephard. He was the passing game coordinator in 2017, the co-Purdue OC from 2018 to 2021, and was the assistant head coach, passing game coordinator as well, and receivers coach at Washington. So again, there is some experience here. And what you could even do is promote those guys to co-OC or one of them to OC and just let your head coach call the plays. And maybe that's the most feasible path here. Whether it's Sheridan as the OC, Shephard as the OC, or the title, whatever, maybe you let DeBoer call the plays for a year. And then he even gives up play calling after a year. But he has experience. He got hired as the Fresno coach because of his OC track record at Indiana. You could promote Shephard as the passing game coordinator. It's probably going to mean elevated roles and responsibilities for several guys on this staff. It's not all going to go onto one guy's plate, I would expect. You got to find the O-line coach. Maybe get a good O-line coach, make him the run game coordinator potentially as well. All those things are probably in play here with Ryan Grubb gone. So should Kalen DeBoer be the OC, the play caller for Alabama? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Go vote in the comments.